There are so many players I want to play tonight, all in the same lineup. They're just way too expensive, and we don't have much value. So this is going to be a difficult one. Luckily, it's going to be a good game, hopefully. They flex this into the Sunday night game, thankfully. But besides that, let's just get right into it, man. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Trying the show from an upgraded laptop here. So let's hope that it works out a little better. But team, if we're having technical difficulties, just bear with me here. It should be a little bit better though. I'm excited. How
Yeah,
you doing,
man.
dude?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. Didn't get to play much main slate today because I was working on getting the show going. This matchup, it's a good, fun matchup, but for DFS, like I'm not super excited about this. I don't think I'm gonna do much hand building. I think I'm gonna let the optimizer absorb all the stress because I mean, there's like 6, 7 guys that I want to play like in almost every lineup, but it's just not possible. So we're gonna have to get real creative. Maybe pay down at captain. There's 2 guys on the Dolphins that I'm super interested in at a lower price that I think I'm gonna try to get in. But most people are gonna be playing Tyreek Hill tonight. Most people are gonna be playing Tua, Eckler, Herbert. And another thing that I'm seeing just based off of some practice builds here, I don't know how we're gonna be able to get both quarterbacks in these lineups. Unless you fade Tyreek Hill, unless you fade Eckler, or unless you just punt at captain. It's going to be very difficult. So what are you seeing, just generally speaking, with this overall matchup here? I mean, Dolphins have a great offense, and it looks like the Chargers are coming along. They're getting healthier. Looks like they're going to have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back, and they got Josh Palmer and Everett. So this offense is starting to come into its stride. What do we do here in this matchup, man? I'm kind of worried when we get to our builds. I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, man. Look, I think this slate's been priced pretty efficiently. I think some of the backup wide receivers on LA are priced like there's some questionable tags at with Mike and Keenan Allen, but I think this is going to be a fun game. I think we still know that LA sucks at stopping the run, and I think there's going to be a lot of people caught up in Jalen Waddle, Tua, and Tyreek Hill, and not to give anything away, but I think this is one of the things that Tyson and I agree on here a little bit more is I think both these running backs for Miami are going to be in play. They're just going to get slept on. And this is a good matchup for them, man. Miami should be able to win this game. They should be able to win it by rushing the ball. And I don't know if LA really has has anything to stop it. But it should be a good game, right? With Herbert getting his weapons back, I think it opens up this offense a little bit more, but we still got to keep in mind his ribs are pretty messed up, man. That cartilage he's got holding those ribs together. I don't know how he's been playing through that injury all season. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be, man. Miami road favorites, 174, minus 174 on the money line. They're 3.5 point favorites. It's a 54.5 point total. So this is a healthy total. There should be some points scored here. I personally think this probably could hit the over. Considering that both of these teams seem to be, I know they both lost last week, but it seems like at least the Chargers are healthy enough to make this, this could be a back and forth type game. If you look at the ownership here, mostly towards Miami, that's really not a huge surprise. They just have generally more players, and Tyreek Hill's ownership is going to skew that quite a bit. So before we get into too much more, we do want to talk about this giveaway we're having. We did hit 900 subscribers, so we appreciate that. We're going to do another giveaway at 1,000, but we're going to give away 2 $50 Draftkings gift cards. So if you can see here on the bottom, you can either scan this with your phone if you're watching on your computer or your TV. That'll jump you into the Discord. That's where we're going to be giving these away. So if you wanted to join the Discord, it's free. We're obviously updating you guys quite a bit on new stuff. We have quite a few bots in there generating updates for injuries and things like that. So it's very, very easy for you guys to kind of keep everything organized and figure out exactly who's playing and who's not playing, as well as jump in and just chat with us as injury news comes out. So basically what you're going to want to do if you have not joined this, you're going to want to go in and select that giveaway on the left side there, and then click that button. and that's basically going to qualify you for the giveaway tonight at 10 p.m. Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Uh, the bot is just going to go ahead and just generate 2 winners, and we'll ship that out to you. So as of now, I think we've only got like 10 or 11 entries. Mainly because I think with Discord, it's kind of, if you don't know Discord, it's kind of weird to navigate. But make sure you get in there. That's pretty good odds. If we only have like 20 or 30 entries or something by the end of this, that's very good odds. Get yourself $50, put it all on a parlay. You can use that on the sports betting side of things too if you wanted to. So anyways, we'll move on from that. We appreciate you guys. Throw us a like right now before you forget, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Let's get into our injuries. All right, so River Cray, doubtful. Armstead, questionable. And that's kind of the only real news there. You go to the other side, of course, you got Bosa is on IR. Derwin James is doubtful. And some of these other guys. There's not really a whole lot to talk about here. I think I'm missing one person. Let me see. Where is it? Or Durham Smythe is questionable as well at the tight end spot. So not a whole lot going on here. What are your thoughts here? Anything jump out to you? Armstead being out is kind of a big deal to me. But what else? What are your other thoughts here?
Nothing particular. I think the biggest thing is just not seeing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams on this list. Is kind of cool, man. I like them being healthy. I want to see the Chargers have that explosive offense again.
And the fact that Palmer has come into his own as like a solid number 2 now, they're stacked. They got 3 wide receivers that are very, very quality. So if they happen to shut down Mike Williams, hey, well, you got 2 other guys that can step up and make it happen. And the only reason they were able to do that was because of the injuries throughout the year. And man, Palmer, I do like him in this matchup as well. But let's go ahead and let's get into our breakdown here. Let's do it. Break it down. All right, so 2 quarterbacks that we want to get a lot of. They're expensive as hell. I just don't see how we're going to do it, man. I don't think I'm going to force the optimizer to limit these to 1, but based off of some of the other things I do by boosting some projections or giving some thumbs up or boosting the randomness or whatever on some of these other skilled position players, it's probably going to have to choose between one or the other when building. That's just me personally. So what do we do here, man? Tua Tagovailoa is 10.4K and Justin Herbert is 10.8K. They're expensive, but I want both of them, right? Don't you?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna try and get to both of them as much as I can, but in all reality, it's just going to be really difficult to have a bunch of lineups with both these guys. I think what we have to decide is which one we're going to fade. There's going to be lineups where we're just need to decide we're not going to be able to play both guys, and don't anybody shoot the messenger here. But I think Tua might be kind of a reasonable guy to be talking about when it comes to fading for a single game slate. And my reasoning behind that is you could easily see so much volume go directly to Jalen Waddle and or Tyreek Hill that you capture almost all of Tua's points with one of those guys. I think that if the offense goes off for LA, I think you're going to need Justin Herbert more than you're going to need Tua.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, Tua could easily have 450 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns, right? This game could easily be reminiscent of that Baltimore game early in the season, right? Where Baltimore was up 45-7 or whatever, and just losing that game. This could be something where Tua in Miami's up and Justin Herbert brings his team storming back.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like, I think I'm leaning a little bit towards being under the field on Tua and going a little bit heavier on Justin Herbert. But I think for the most part, you're going to have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to fade one of these guys or fade multiple of the skill positions because you're not going to be able to play all these guys together. It's just too expensive.
I do see a path where the Dolphins can win this like by a reasonable amount without Tua throwing 5 touchdown passes or absolutely crushing the slate. The running backs that we'll talk about here in a minute, both of these dudes, not sure who's going to get more run for the Dolphins, but both of these running backs are very capable, and they're going up against a bad rush defense. So you're talking about a team that's favored going up against going into LA, which isn't really much of a home field advantage for them. I like the idea of playing some cheap running backs that are going to get probably 90% of the volume when it comes to the run game. So that would be one thing to do. You know, you could throw in a Raheem Mostert instead of Tua and make sure you get at least Hill or at least Waddle. And I think that's a little bit more reasonable. It makes the build so much more easier. I don't see that. I don't really see how the Chargers can pull this off without Herbert having a above average game. That's just my thoughts on it. All right, let's go to the running back side here. Let's start with Miami. All right, so Jeff Wilson Jr. is 6,200. Raheem Mostert 5,600. That's super cheap, man. Obviously they're priced down because we don't know which one is going to get more of the run. Last week, Raheem Mostert was the guy going up against his old team. They're both going up against their old team, so it wasn't. You can't really say, oh well, narrative wise, maybe that's why they gave Raheem Mostert most of the run. That wasn't it because both of your running backs were former 49ers. So the interesting thing is, I mean, look at this. He got 60% of the snaps last week, and Jeff Wilson got 35. So I don't know who's gonna come out and get the most of the snaps, but I think you could play both of these guys together potentially. But putting either one of these guys in the captain spot really opens up your flex, not only with salary, but now you're able to throw in 4 or 5 really good guys in the flex there that you like. What are your thoughts here, man? Are you interested in either one of these guys going up against a bad defense? And do you have a preference as to which one?
If you asked me last week, I would have said my preference is Jeff Wilson, but then to your point, we saw some of the numbers slant to to Mostert. But again, Mike McDaniel knows both these guys very well. Both these guys are going to get a lot of run in the offense, and they're priced just nicely that you could almost, I mean, what is it, 11,800 if you play both of them, and they're probably going to be projected similar, or slightly above, a quarterback at 10,400. So I do think that there is some leverage to be had by playing these guys, and then especially at the captain spot, because when we talk about hot hands with running backs, like a Mike McDaniel offense, as we've seen, like a hot hand can turn into something insane. Right? Jeff Wilson can easily end up with 120 and 2 touchdowns on 11 carries, right? And that's what we're looking for. This is a perfect offense to be jamming just mid-tier, mid-price guys into the captain spot because they could easily hit 2 touchdowns and just really blow things wide open for us.
Yeah.
But look, I think you can alternate, right? These guys are going to be low owned enough at the captain spot that you can probably run the same lineups twice with them and not have to spend too much money doing it. So I like them. I think you can handcuff them. I think you can play them individually. Both guys are going to see plenty of opportunities to score. And honestly, I like Alec Ingold too. Like, there's a good opportunity that he'll get some run down in the end zone or the goal to go situations, right? Throw him at tight end, fullback. He's a touchdown at 1,400, and on a slate like this, like playing a guy like that every once in a while isn't going to hurt you too much.
When you look at, the Dolphins do pass the ball quite a bit more, obviously, than they run the ball, 65% to 35%, basically. But still, that doesn't scare me. It really doesn't scare me. You just never know what this game could end up being. And you really don't need them to run the ball that much for them to punch in a couple of goal line touchdowns in this matchup. All right, anything else here? You want to move over to the other side?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so Austin Eckler's 1,100. Josh Kelly 5,400, and then some other dudes $200. I'm not super interested in Isaiah Spiller at 200 or Xander Horvath at 200. More so probably Spiller. I would take a couple shots on at 200. But the main guy, obviously, that we want to talk about here is Austin Eckler. He's 11K, very expensive. I think you could pair him and Herbert together in a lot of lineups. Obviously, he's gonna get you targets in the pass game. You look at that, 15 targets against Arizona, 11 receptions and a touchdown. I mean, look at this, 16 targets, 12, 9. Absolutely insane for a running back. I want as much Austin Eckler as humanly possible. Now, look, you see some red here, but look at his floor, though. 13, 14, 11 maybe. But recently, it's kind of in that 13 to 14 point range as his floor with a huge ceiling up to 40 points. Man, I'm super interested in him. I'm not scared of making him one of my guys that I try to lock into every one of my lineup, whether it's in the captain or the flex. So what are your thoughts on Eckler? I think his ownership is going to be a lot lower than it should be, simply because you just can't get him in every lineup very easily without fading like Tyreek Hill or Waddle or one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, man. Like I think we keep it real simple. A lot of people get a little caught up in getting big name players back on your team, but getting Keenan Allen and Mike Williams can really only help Austin Eckler. Like what are you supposed to do? Like you can't put 8 guys in the box. You can't focus just on Eckler anymore. Um, yeah, so I think he's an amazing play. 11K, the targets that he's getting, he's probably going to be what, the fifth or sixth highest owned captain,
Yeah,
which is probably, I mean, that's insane. Like, I get what we have on this slate, but Austin Eckler could go out into a game, not score a single touchdown, have 100 rushing yards and 10 receptions for 50 yards,
yeah,
right? That kind of shit will ruin you if you don't have him at captain. But look, I'm going to keep it simple. He's going to be in every lineup. If not, then it'll be Justin Herbert. Like
yeah,
those would be my
yeah,
Chargers exposures.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
I don't want any of these other guys at 5,400. I'd just rather play Mostert.
Mostert, yeah, exactly. There's no reason to play Joshua Kelly, in my opinion, because I'd rather have Mostert. There's just no reason.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to wide receiver here for the Chargers. We got some healthy guys, thankfully. And look at the price tags on these guys. Absolutely insane. Keenan Allen, 8,200. Mike Williams, 7K. Josh Palmer, 6,800. DeAndre Carter is priced up a little bit for whatever reason. Maybe they were anticipating one of these guys was out. That's probably what they were doing. But DeAndre Carter is 4,800. Now, I'm not super interested in DeAndre Carter at this point, so we won't really talk much about him just because of his price, and he's the fourth option on this team now. But Keenan Allen, 8,200, Mike Williams, 7K. Man, these are great captain options. They're great flex options. I think Mike Williams is a better captain option, and then you could kind of be maybe with or under the field with him in flex. But we know what Keenan Allen has done, and recently he's been looking like more like the Keenan Allen that we all know and love. 14 targets last week, 6 receptions, 88 yards and touchdown. He's had 2 straight games with a touchdown, 13 fantasy points, 15, 20. So you're starting to see him come into his own, and the fact that Mike Williams and Josh Palmer are both going to be active and they're going to be pretty healthy in this game, man, I like the top 2 guys here, and I do like Josh Palmer as well. So what do we do here, man? I really feel like you've got to try to prioritize to try to get one of these guys in your lineups, because I don't see the Chargers doing any, like, if you think that the Chargers are going to be in this game and this is going to be a close game, they have a chance to win it, one of these guys is going to have a good game, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts here? What do we do? You got to try to get these guys in the captain spot because they're going to be super low owned, and look at the pricing on these guys.
Yeah, man. I think that's probably going to be my strategy, is getting these guys in at the captain spot, just capture them if they get that ceiling game. It's going to be so hard to build, right? Because I still want Austin Eckler, and then it just brings us back to our quarterback situation. If we're going to put one of these guys in there, are we fading Tua so that we can get
Yeah,
Waddle and Keenan Allen plus Herbert, right?
yeah,
So, like, I guess my takes are going to be stronger when we start building, but right now I'll be anticipating more of these guys at the captain spot, because at that price, if they do have one of their ceiling games, they will be more likely to be an optimal captain, so that you can jam in some other stud pieces there for me. But yeah, man, I think any one of these guys can go off for 2 touchdowns. I think we've seen every single one of these wide receivers have 2 touchdowns.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's possible, man. But I like them. And with Justin Herbert throwing, man, this game, I'm telling you, this could easily be like 45-41, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope it is, man. I really do hope it is. All 3 of these guys at the top here have been, like you said, they've been in the past, they've been these optimal captain type guys, even Palmer now. So that it used to just be Keenan Allen versus Mike Williams. Which one of these guys can you play? Because they were always priced in the 10K. They were always super expensive. All right, well, which one do we play? Because we can't play 2. Well, now you have another guy entered into that with Josh Palmer. And I don't think anybody's going to play Josh Palmer. I don't think anybody's going to play him. He's going to be less than 20% owned total, probably like 2 or 3% in the captain. That's a hell of a option there, with Palmer potentially getting you like 6 or 7 receptions. If he can get in the end zone, man, that might be enough at that price tag. All right, let's go to the other side here. So obviously, Tyreek Hill, yes, play Tyreek Hill. Come on. I mean, it's obvious, and him at captain is going to be incredibly popular, but he's 11.4K. he's super expensive. If you put him at the captain, you basically got to fade Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen or something to that effect. And I don't want to do a lot of that because I think that the Chargers can stay in this game. I think they can actually win this game. So I'm not going to go too heavy with like just focusing on these Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Tua stacks. I think you should have some. Absolutely, you should have some, but they're so damn expensive. Jalen Waddle's $9K, so that's a good price for him. But when you throw that price tag in it amongst all the other players that we got to try to fit in, it might be hard to get him as well. So what do we do here, man? 11.4K and 9K respectively, and then we'll get into Trent Sherfield and some of these other guys.
Yeah, play Tyreek Hill as much as you can. I don't know if I'll have a bunch of him at captain. I may have a couple lineups with some weird builds just because he's going to be chalky. If he has a 32-point outing, then you'll probably need him at captain. But like, look, man, I really don't know what I should say here other than it's fucking Tyreek Hill. He's probably going to have a big ass day, right?
Yeah.
Like you probably just can't afford to play him much at captain. And then Jalen Waddle is really interesting to me. 9K. I don't know, man. Like 9K, this guy is definitely a captain option, in my opinion. Like we just rotate all these wide receivers and a captain. First of all, the wide receivers just get a boost because of the PPR, anyways. And then Jalen Waddle can easily have 15 receptions, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's had a pretty solid season so far, and I don't know. I don't know that LA is really going to be able to do anything to shut either one of these guys down.
Trent Sherfield to me is probably one of the best value options. He's 4,600, so a little bit higher than some of the kickers. So if you have more of a balanced lineup and you don't punt with one of these $200 guys or whatever, Sherfield probably will be your last kind of guy you plug in. But he's interesting because we've seen him do well. Last year, 3 targets, 1 reception for 75 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he has that home run ability. But I think his ownership's going to be 10% or something to that effect because of the fact that hey, there's 2 other guys in front of him that you really want to get in. Cedric Wilson's $200 as well. He's getting a decent 3 or 4 or 5 point projection. At $200, you always got to look at those guys that are getting those projections over like 1 or 2 fantasy points. Not like one of my favorite plays, but worth talking about. So. Thoughts on Sherfield, and you interested in Cedric Wilson at all?
Sherfield's fine. I think as a last piece, if you're sitting around that price range, I'll probably have a little bit of exposure to him. Cedric Wilson's one of the guys that I wouldn't mind playing in a Tyreek Hill captain lineup, right? He's not going to be owned. And if they're really only carrying 4 wide receivers into the game, a $200 dude getting 4.6 on a total that could hit 50 plus, right? That might be what you need to kind of get some exposure to the other guys. But again, I'm not going to be too crazy on either one of these. It's probably going to be closer to Alec Ingold, I think, like 1,400.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to our tight ends. Mike Gesicki, 4,400, pretty decent price for him. Durham Smythe is questionable at 3K. If Durham Smythe is out, that really makes me a lot more interested in a guy like Gesicki. We know what Mike Gesicki is capable of. We've seen it in the past, but this year he's just not, even coming into it, he was barely getting anything at the beginning of the year. He was barely getting any work. Smythe was kind of getting those snaps. Now you're starting to see him get snaps, but look at this. Two goose eggs in the last 2 weeks. He's a scary kind of guy, but the field is scared of him too. He's going to be 10% owned.
Yeah, man. I'll have a little bit of Mike Gesicki. Again, like this offense is just in a good spot, right? He may not be the guy on a week-to-week basis, but this is just one of those flyer weeks, right? You're looking for somebody that could have a 2-touchdown performance. And we don't know. This offense is so good that it's hard to predict who's going to have the breakout game. And Mike Gesicki at 4,400, again, he gives us a little bit of value somewhere, and maybe even a pivot off of a 4,200 or 4K kicker, right? Yeah. So I don't mind playing him. Smythe, if he's active, I don't mind playing him either. I don't know if I'm going to go down to Tanner Connor. I think that if you start seeing if Smythe's out, right, I think a guy like Alec Ingold or even Jeff Wilson or Mostert, right? They're going to call weird formations that'll get some of their skill players on the field in different spots. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to go too deep onto their bench for these backup positions. Like, why are you going to run Tanner Connor in a 3 tight end set when you can just run a 2 tight end set with 2 backs and have Jeff Wilson and Mostert on the field at the same time? Is
Yeah.
kind of my point.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
don't know if you need to get too crazy on backups here.
I'd probably set in a rule. I mean, Gesicki and Sherfield right around the same price. I don't want them in the lineup together. Obviously, not sure if your optimizer will do that. If it's going to jam them together, but I don't want them together. All right, so let's go to the other side. Gerald Everett's 5K. Always an interesting play with Everett. We've made this comparison before. He's basically Anquan Bolden playing tight end. We know that he has the capability to get yards after the catch, and obviously he's a red zone threat. But he's 5K. I don't know if I'm super, super interested in Gerald Everett, especially now considering he's fifth in line for targets, if you really think about it, behind Eckler and the 3 guys. So 5K, in my opinion, he probably should be a little bit lower in the 4K range to make me want to play him. He did have 13 fantasy points last week. I am interested in him. I know his upside, but I don't know that I'm going to get there. It might just be like a natural type fade where after I crunch and submit, I'm looking back and go, man, I only got 9% Gerald Everett. What the hell happened? That sort of thing. Stone Smart 600, Trey McKitty 400. What do we do with these tight ends here, man? I think there's better value and there's better options around that price tag with Gerald Everett. All you gotta do is pay a couple $100 more and you get the starting running back for the lead, for the team that's favored.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my point there. I agree with you. But again, something that could get lost in the noise. Just everybody coming back probably opens up a little bit more opportunity for Everett to be successful. So again, like if you're sitting in that range, that 4,500 to 5,500 range, I don't mind taking a couple flyers on him. But again, I'm not sure I'm prioritizing him. If you have the option to play Mostert over Gerald Everett, I'm probably going Mostert most every time.
Yeah.
And then these other guys, the $600, $400, you guys know I'm not hesitant to throw them in if they're active. Trey McKitty probably. And I think I just play him at this point because I fucking like his name. But
yeah,
he'll get some run. So I don't mind getting to these guys, but I think you just need to be wise doing it.
the interesting thing is going to be how much are these guys going to see the field with 3 healthy wide receivers? I don't know that Trey McKitty is going to see the field as much with running single tight end formations with 3 wide receivers. That might be the way they want to run it, and 1 running back with Eckler. So that's what scares me a little bit about some of these backup tight ends on this team. Let's go to kickers. Jason Sanders 4K, Cameron Dickhead 4,200. I don't know, man. They're kickers. This particular matchup, I don't know. What are your opinions on the totals in high total games? I know there's some correlation between kickers and obviously in quarterbacks because you got to score. You score points, you get extra points. But I don't think the correlation is good enough for me to try to prioritize any of these guys. I'm actually thinking about unchecking these guys or maybe limiting them to like 10% total. Is that too scary for you? If one of these dudes just happens to get 3 or 4 field goal attempts, that could kind of ruin your night, right?
Yeah, man. Look, I don't know. I'm just gonna record. We should just record a segment here. Probably don't need both. Look, okay. I'm gonna take a little different angle on this. Again, like I'd rather find a way to punt, pay down a little bit more, and get to Mostert. There's a good chance he could end up being RB1 for the team, and I can sacrifice a little bit just to get him there, and there's a much higher ceiling. That's pretty much where I'm at, and I am a little bit too scared to uncheck both kickers, so I'll have a little bit of exposure, but I'll be trying my best to get to a better play off of them as much as I can.
One thing to keep in mind here too is both of these head coaches don't give a shit about, they'll go for it at any point in the field, especially if they're down or if it's a key point in the game. They're not going to just automatically send the field goal kicking unit out there to kick a 46-yard field goal. They probably end up going for it. So for me, I mean, we saw with the Chargers last year how much of a debacle some of those play calls were, where he would go for it 60 fucking times in a game almost. So to me, I'm a little bit lower on the kickers in this particular matchup, but shit, DraftKings, you just need to get rid of these guys altogether. Defense, Dolphins 3,400, Chargers 3,600. I don't know, man. This is a 54.5 point total. Unless you get 5 or 6 sack game and a fumble recovery, you're gonna need a pick six. You're gonna need a scoop and score or a kickoff return or a punt return for a touchdown in order to pay this off. But their pricing is pretty low. It's to the point where, hey, man, you could get 8 or 9 fantasy points out of these guys if they can get you a couple sacks and one turnover. Any interest in these defenses?
No, not really. I'd rather go elsewhere. I'd probably rather play a kicker over both these guys.
All right, let's move on. Let's get our crown their ass segment. This is our favorite DraftKings captain option for Showdown.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Ellie, you're going Eckler. I agree. I personally am going to try to get a lot of Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. in the captain spot, mainly because they're pricing. And hey, this is a good matchup for them. People are going to be scared away because no one knows except for the people in that room who's going to start, who's going to get most of the carries. But these two guys should be responsible for like 95+% of the usage out of the backfield. So to me, if you could find a way, this is a Pollard Zeke situation, just a little bit different. And we've seen how that goes. Whoever has the hot hand, whoever maybe just came off a great drive, I don't know how they're going to prioritize things. But man, at those price tags, you can really fit in a lot of dudes in the flex and still have that high upside at the captain spot. You don't necessarily need Mostert or Wilson to be the highest scoring player on the slate by putting them at captain. You just need to get the right spots in the flex and you need those high price players to pay off in the flex, obviously. All right, so let's go with our fades.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Ellie, you're not interested in coming out and fading really anybody unless it naturally sort of happens. I'm not super interested in the defense, even though when I was just talking about it, it seemed like it might be a little bit appealing to me, but I'm not super interested. I'm just not going to have enough space for these guys. Anything else to talk about here? Is there one player, if you had a gun to your head, that you said you cannot play this guy? Who would you choose?
I guess Gerald Everett or the defenses, but you said one player, so gun to my head, I'd pick the one player that's literally safest.
I'd probably pick like a guy like Mike Williams or something, even though that's not like a huge take. Mike Williams is boom or bust, and he's like, he's the second or third option on this offense at this point, and we don't quite know how healthy he is. I am interested in him quite a bit, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose Mike Williams. All right, so let's get into our lineup build. Let's pop this up. So, as you can see right below me here on the screen, if you're not in the Discord, it's free to join, and more specifically, we're giving away 2 $50 DraftKings gift cards tonight, 10 p.m. The bot will automatically generate it. If you guys are just jumping in, basically, you can easily jump into the Discord and go over to that giveaways portion and click on that button down there, and that automatically enters you into the contest. Now, I don't know how many people are going to actually click that button. Discord, some people don't know how to use Discord as well. But seeing that, it's going to be very easy, and you probably have pretty good odds giving away 2 of these things, and maybe there's going to be less than 50 people total that are entering. All right, Ellie, so what do we do here, man? Do you want to just click the button and see what happens?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Tua captain, Cedric Wilson Jr., Dolphins defense, that's weird. Keenan Allen, Herbert, Hill. So, as you can see, with 2 quarterbacks, especially one of them at the captain spot, you're going to have to play Cedric Wilson in the Dolphins defense or something to that effect. I'm not interested in that. Let's build a cash single entry lineup. Something that's a bit safer if you're entering into, like $100 single entry or even a $10 single entry or something. What would we build in order to kind of get us the highest floor and still be able to possibly ship it? Who's the captain in this situation? It's got to be Tyreek Hill, right? With the PPR, or do we want to go with a guy like Austin Eckler at captain for? I don't know. I really don't know here. What do you think?
So, I mean, I think we go with Austin Eckler, to be honest. I get Tyreek Hill is probably going to be the cash captain, but I just feel like Austin Eckler can do so much more for us. And then throw in Tyreek Hill and Tua
You think so?
or Justin Herbert. Yeah.
Well, I can do whatever you want. You want to do because we're using Eckler. Do you want to focus on getting Tua in the flex along with Hill? Yeah, that's probably smart. Now we got to get one of these running backs. This is going to be the hard thing with the cash is which one do we pick? Probably going with Mostert. That's kind of how I'm going to roll potentially. 5,600, you save $600, and he potentially can get most of the carries. So now we got 6,100. Do you want to go? Where do we go here? Do you want to grab? Shit, I don't even know where we go here. What are your thoughts, dude? Do you want to get the other running back too?
Honestly, throw in. I would throw in the kicker, and then see if you can kicker the kicker. God damn.
Okay.
And then I think we're at Ingold now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's kind of scary. I mean, do you want to go down to a guy like Cedric Wilson, and do you think Cedric Wilson has a little bit better chances of getting a couple receptions? Ingold to me is either touchdown or bust. At least with
go down to Cedric Wilson and then see what we can come up off of from Dicker.
All right, so we can come off of Dicker 5,900. That gets you not quite Jeff Wilson, but it gets you a bunch of it gets you Gerald Everett, Josh Kelly. I'm not putting Gerald Everett in a cash type build, so you might. I mean, this is going to be tough, man. I don't have a good answer for this.
One more crazy note, then take out Tyreek Hill and throw in Waddle.
All right. Now we're getting into the tournament area here. This is just a straight up tournament lineup at this point. 8,300. So quite a few options.
Keenan Allen?
Yeah, Keenan Allen. Okay, that's a little better. I'm not using this for cash really because I really want Tyreek, but this is a good tournament lineup. What is this? This is a 4-2 with Eckler and Allen. Yeah. That's not bad. All right, what are we doing next?
Yeah, not for cash though.
Yeah, not for cash. Let's build with who do you want to build with? You want to go down or do you want to grab
let's go down to Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. All right, let's grab Mike Williams. Let's put Herbert in there with him. I definitely want to get Austin Eckler. Can we get Tyreek Hill? I don't know. Let's try it. 6,300. That probably gets us in a Raheem Mostert in a punt situation. Or you go kicker and then not punt as much. $700.
Go Raheem Mostert and Cedric Wilson, or even then you can go. Or can you do Jeff Wilson and Cedric Wilson, or is that too expensive?
No, not quite. Almost 6,200.
Too many Wilsons.
Yeah. This sucks, dude. Here, let's screw this. Let's get off of Mike Williams. Let's go directly to Raheem Mostert and see how much easier this is. Let's put both quarterbacks. Let's put Eckler. Can't get Tyreek, but you can get Jalen, and then you punt with that last spot with Cedric Wilson. That's not terrible. I mean, I don't like not having Tyreek. So in this case, you absolutely could pull out. You could pull out Tua. I don't know. I mean, having Mostert in the captain maybe is probably better to pull out Tua, but I don't think they really play off of each other too much or as much as we think they would. Maybe we put Hill in. Let's put Hill in.
Yeah, I mean, I like Hill and Waddle together too. I mean,
let's try it.
I think you can do that fine without.
Can't do it
because they could each have a bunch of receptions and yards. Oh, you can't do it.
Can't do it, but you can do this. You could do Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen, and you could do Cedric Wilson.
Yep.
And
what happens if you go from?
What's that? You cut out there for a second.
Oh no, I was just gonna see. So I mean, I'd run this lineup. What do we get if we take Hill out and go down to Waddle? What can we get for Wilson instead?
Let's see. 2,600. Not really worth it. There's nothing in that range that's even worth it. You go all the way down to Ingold. So, what if we did?
What if you throw in your boy? Was it Josh Palmer instead of Keenan Allen?
Yeah, let's try it. Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer. Where are you? 6,800. Get you 4K. Get you a kicker. Get you Jason Sanders. So this is a 3-3. You got Mostert, Herbert, Waddle, Austin Eckler, Palmer, and Sanders. Apologize if you're listening to this on the podcast version. I'll be sure to try to remember to sort of repeat these things so you guys aren't lost. Hey, that's not bad. It's really not bad. It scares me as like a mofo to leave Hill out. Let's build one with a Tua, Hill, and Waddle stack and see who we gotta fade. Who do you want to put at captain in this situation? We probably got to go low, right? Or maybe we got to grab a Charger and throw him at captain for this with a stack in the flex of the Dolphins. Who do you think we should go with?
I mean, is it even possible to do it with Eckler at captain? Probably not, right?
I don't think so. I don't think you can do it. Let's try it. Herbert. Well, maybe you can. Yeah, you can. It's just not going to be pretty. 2,700. So if you go Cedric Wilson, 2,500. That's not terrible. You do got to punt again. You got to go down to Bandy or, there's not a whole lot of guys down here that I want to play. Let's just say for this, let's put in Ingold, but that's just scary, man. So you're fading Herbert, you're fading all the pass catchers. That's not good. I don't want to do that.
Hold
necessarily.
On. This might be a little crazy. Instead of Eckler, throw in Mike Williams again.
Okay, captain?
Yeah.
That seems more reasonable, or at least Keenan Allen. So 8,500 in that last spot. That's let me pull Wilson out. Let me pull Wilson out and see what we get.
Yeah, let's think about it for a second there now.
So Mike Williams at captain. You got a Tua, Hill, and Waddle stack in the flex. 8,700. You probably want to get a guy like, do we want to get Mostert or one of these guys in here in the flex? Or is that too much?
Yeah. No, do it.
Let's put Mostert.
Let's do Mostert. Yeah, 3,100.
So that gets you. It doesn't. Get you Durham Smythe if he plays. It's still. That's literally a 1-5. I'm not super interested in that. The problem is there's not a lot of Chargers players that really I'm comfortable with at value. So that's the hard part.
What about pulling out Mostert and let's throw in Gesicki for one lineup.
Okay. Put Gesicki in 4,400. You save $1,200. That gets you the kicker there. So you could have Cameron Dicker and Mike Williams with a nice pass catching stack of the Dolphins. These are the type of weird ass lineups that you see, solo ship. But I'm not super confident in this because we got to leave a lot of the Chargers guys out. This is gonna be hard, man.
Let's do your idea, and then I think we can move on from this one. Pull out Dicker and then Mike Williams, a captain. Throw in Keenan Allen. I guess we got to pull out Gesicki too. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's put Keenan Allen a captain. I'm more comfortable with this.
And then go back. Let's punt that position. Throw in Cedric Wilson. I don't give a shit about that. And then
that could be any $200 guy. Yeah, it could be anybody. So 6,700. Not quite Josh Palmer, but it gets you Jeff Wilson or, this is a 1-5.
This is scary, but this is something that I wouldn't necessarily hate running. If you were trying to specifically get that core of Tua, Hill, and Waddle.
Let's pull Waddle, and let's put in Herbert here and see what that gets us. That gets 5,100. I don't know, man. Where do you want to go? You want to go? Sherfield, Gesicki, or do you want to go kicker? There's not really.
Yeah. Go Sherfield, and then see what that leaves. Wilson.
Cedric Wilson.
I guess we're kind of
so
in that same
Tua,
area.
Hill, Sherfield, Wilson. That's a lot of. Man. So let's pull Herbert. This kind of sucks, dude. Let me put in Eckler and just see how obviously kind of screws us. But let's put in a kicker. Let's put in Dicker, and that leaves us 700. That gets you, Cedric Wilson.
Okay, what about this, dude? Okay, hear me out. I think we're just back into the same thing again. Pull out Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Let's leave Tua, and then let's throw in Wilson and Mostert and just see where we're at.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., 4,500.
Oh, there we go. Throwing one of the kickers.
Or you can put in Gesicki.
Gesicki, yeah.
You put in, yeah, so you can put in Dicker, the kicker, or Sanders. Is there anybody that you want to just say F it with at captain, like super low price guy?
I might with Jason Sanders. I do feel like that dude could end up with 15, 20 fantasy points. But other than that, I think that might be the lowest that I'd be willing to go.
What about Josh? No, not Josh Kelly. Joshua Palmer. Let's put Palmer in. Let's just hit
Yeah, I'm down.
optimize. Let's see what happens. Cedric Wilson, Mike Williams, Herbert, Tua, and Hill. It's kind of scary, man.
Yeah.
So now that we've done this, what are you thinking? Are you going to go heavy tonight? You going to go with more lineups because you're going to want to get more variations? I think I'm leaning in that way. I think I'm leaning in, a handful of 20 maxes and maybe the mini max. Just get as many possible lineups as I can. And then what we like to do is we like to just crunch out 210 lineups and then randomize within our CSV in Excel and just hope that hope if you get one good lineup, it ends up in the biggest contest sort of thing. So I don't know, man. What can you tell the watchers and listeners about how the hell we're going to handle this tonight?
Yeah, and honestly, these are the slates that I like the most to gamble on. It's tough. It's tough building, but it's tough for everybody else too, right? So I think it just gives you a little bit more creativity and a little bit more flexibility in your build. So, just stick to a game script and make sure that you're being consistent throughout your positional building from there.
Who's your low-owned guy that you think can score tonight?
It's either Cedric Wilson or Alec Gingold.
I think Palmer. I think Palmer's going to be under 10% owned. I think he can score. What's your final score prediction?
I'm going to say 45-42 Miami.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a shootout. I'm going to say 38-34 Chargers in this one. Remember to join that Discord. You guys can win $50 Draftkings gift card, as well as help us out, help us get to our 1,000 subscriber goal. We're less than 100 away. I'm hoping we can get that in the next week. That'd be amazing. So on the way out, hit subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow for Patriots and Cardinals, right? Is that in Arizona?
I don't know, man. I blanked out the Cardinals from my memory the past couple weeks.
They've been on a bye too, so I'm just kind of enjoying having them not play because I'm not going to be disappointed. But that probably will change tomorrow night. I'm assuming there's going to be some weird shit going on. So check us out for that. Hit subscribe so you can see that, and we will see you for Monday Night Football.